All right, welcome back. So we're going to be pushing back the scheduled podcast to next week for the rookies because there was a big trade that happened. So we're going to be talking about that, especially because we got a big Blazers fan over here. So
Hola.
Cody, I believe you have the trade pulled up. So if you'd like to read it out loud for us.
Yes, I can do that. So the first trade, I'll read both trades that were part of this, but the first one, uh, of course, was the Dame trade. So the Suns got Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, Grayson Allen, and Keon Johnson. The Trailblazers got DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamra, I probably butchered that name, and Drew Holiday and draft considerations. Uh, from Milwaukee, and then obviously Milwaukee gets Dame, and then Drew Holiday was flipped to the Celtics for Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, and 2 firsts. So let me pull up the full compensation there. You all can go ahead and start talking about that, but let me pull up the exact details on those picks.
And I believe that one of the picks from Boston was a top three protected from the Warriors pick, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're never that
yes.
bad. So it's going to convey. It's this year's.
Yeah, it's the I guess do we want to start off with each of us maybe giving a grade for the four teams involved?
That's fine.
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do Blazers first. I give them an A.
I agree. I think they did a good job in the end. A.
Initially, when I saw this trade, I was down on it a little bit, but knowing what I do now about what Drew Holiday becomes, I can give it an A.
Yeah, I completely agree with the whole thing wrapped together. It's definitely an A.
For the Suns, this is where I think we're going to disagree a little bit. I'm feeling like a C minus to a D. I really don't like what they got for Aiden.
I don't put it quite that low. I give them a B minus. They get a little bit of depth, but yeah, I think that they probably should have stuck with Aiton. I think Nurkic is a downgrade.
They called him a
No
top 10
matter,
center.
yeah, no matter how defensive minded they think he is. No.
Because I know he is a borderline top 5 defensive minded center, but like I feel like at this point, Nasir Little's probably a better player than he is.
I do like the Nasir Little pickup, but
But like I doubt
Yeah.
Nasir Little's actually going to play in the playoffs. So that's really just a
Mhm.
regular season rotation piece. That's if he stays how he was last season. Obviously, he could improve, but
Right.
yeah, I don't really know about it for him. I really just think the Aiton relationship was pretty much beyond salvageable. So they just tried to get whatever they could. And unfortunately for them, that happened to be Yusuf Nurkic. So I'd probably give him like a C minus.
just what they could have got a year ago from the Pacers that suspected Buddy Hield or Miles Turner or Malcolm Brogdon trade. It's just such a far fall from matching that offer.
Yeah.
Miles
That's
Turner
true.
is who they think Nurkic is.
And at the end of the day, for the Suns, this trade you really won't be able to put a full grade on it until the end of the season. Because they're obviously trying to contend with all the moves they've made. And so if this trade ends up and they end up if Yusuf Nurkic plays 65 to 70 games, and Grayson Allen shoots well and Nasir Little is a big part of the rotation, and they go on and win a championship, then I don't know that anybody's going to come back and give them a bad grade. Definitely right now, it doesn't look like I'd probably myself say a C plus to a B minus range for them. And like you said, they got off DeAndre Ayton, which, apparently the relationship had soured, but still, like you said, they definitely didn't get probably what they could have last year. I do think Grayson Allen is a sneaky good pickup for them.
Yeah, an enforcer. They could just break Jokic's leg. You're right.
Right. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think it's all going to come down to the health of the players they got, specifically Yusuf Nurkic, and then ultimately what those players bring in the playoffs when it's time to contend for championships.
It's
Real
just
quick,
with go ahead.
yeah, one thing that confused me with it was the cap flexibility. I thought that they would try and offload Aiton to maybe lose a few dollars, but they actually I think gained 4 million.
Matt Ishbia does not care about going over the cap.
Yeah, he's giving away free. Just got rid of
Right.
blackout streaming, giving away satellites. This man
My
just
man
likes to
is
spend
too
money.
rich.
Right. And that actually is a good pivot point to talk about the Celtics, because that actually put the Celtics, this trade put the Celtics over that second threshold. So
Oof.
their mid-level exception's gone. They can only sign players to minimums now, and they can't participate in the buyout market, or there's restrictions on the buyout market now. So that is definitely something to consider for them, because I mean, this was we want to win now move. So if they don't win now, that tax bill is gonna come, and we'll see what's gonna happen there, because that money isn't going anywhere anytime soon with the contracts they have. So that is definitely something to consider. I mean, I would personally, for the Celtics, I think this is probably a B+ trade, because they get a better Marcus Smart,
Yeah,
and it
for real.
basically
Mhm.
cost them Robert Williams and a 29 unprotected first, because the other one, like you said, was a Warriors first that they had.
Mhm.
And Malcolm Brogdon. All right,
But-
we're in 92.
Well, I didn't. He didn't want to be there anyway, apparently.
They were gonna trade him. I
And,
wouldn't be there. Send him to the Clippers.
But
Yeah.
I think the one thing that really hurts the Celtics here is that second cap threshold that's new this year.
Because
I
with the
agree with
trade that
that.
they made, they kind of like got rid of all of their depth because they have a really, really good top 6 and maybe a top 7 if you include Pacers legend O'Shea Brissett. But if you overlook that, they really don't have a lot of depth. And because they went over that second threshold, they're kind of limited in the ways that they can add to their roster. But I saw a tweet today that said they do have a little bit more draft capital that they can still trade. So if depth ends up being an issue for them, then they do have methods to go out there and get more players. But
Yeah, they
With
do
what
have
contracts?
a trade exception.
Ah,
They still have that $6.3 million trade exception from the Grant Williams sign and trade that they can use.
then package
but
like
after
Peyton
that-
Pritchard.
But after that, it's all gotta be minimums, basically.
I like how Peyton Pritchard requested the trade and then outlasted Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, just everybody.
And now they're
I
in
heard
talks
they're
of
in
extending
extensions.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh my god,
He has minutes now. He could play.
Yeah, they're gonna need
that's
him.
true.
Sam Hauser. What's the dude that jumps high and like blocks
Is
the
that
rim?
Cornette or Hauser?
Cornette.
Hauser's the shooter from
Yeah.
Wisconsin, I believe.
Is he
They
the one
got
who looks like
O'Shea.
Gordon Hayward?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
They all look like Duncan Robinson when they're shaved, honestly.
They also got Lamar Stevens
Lamar
from the
Stevens,
Cavs.
and they got the
That's
guy that
true.
was on the Lakers a few years ago.
I don't-
Wyndon Gabriel.
Yeah.
Did they
um,
pick up Gabriel?
Yep.
Yeah, it's only like 2-way right now, but
Right. Yeah.
They
They,
picked
and
him
they signed Ski Mikhailuk. He's bounced around. Pretty much just a shooter. Really what they need is one of those guys, whether it's Peyton Pritchard or Lamar Stevens, Sam Hauser, O'Shea. They need somebody to take that jump to be a good rotational player. Like, not saying that
Mm-hmm.
they can't be. I'm just saying that they need to take that next jump that's what they really need to get that depth.
I honestly think O'Shea's going to fit in well because his only thing on the pages was he can't defend with a lick. Like he plays pretty good
Right.
offensively, little inconsistent, but with the team around them, like they're a very defensive minded team. Like I think he could fit in, at least get some minutes.
If they
Yeah.
do end up starting Drew Holiday alongside Derek White, that is going to be a nightmare for every opposing guard that they
Oh,
play.
yeah. I think that they could run into some issues later in the season though with like what happens if Porzingis goes down. He had a good year last year injury wise, but just based off history, he's probably going to go down at some point. And now that they got rid of Rob Will, I mean, is Horford just going to have to hold it down?
I guess
Yeah.
Horford's just gonna have to start, and Tatum's gonna have to play the 4
My only
unless they
rebuttal
want
to
to bring up
that
one of those bench guys.
is Porzingis is like the fourth option on offense now. Like he has a very lightened load.
Yeah,
So,
but they still
and they could
doesn't
hide
change-
him against bad games and then have
I
him for the
think kind of
playoffs.
the point Tucker was making is just that who do they play if he goes out? Is like they don't have size other than him.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because especially for backup bigs, like there's not a whole lot on the roster right now.
I know a player that's playing in Taiwan that's been looking for a team to play for.
Boogie.
They
Not
honestly
Boogie.
I
Boogie
honestly
be
could
fun.
pick Dwight up.
Dwight fits
If somebody gets
defensively.
injured.
And I
Fair
mean, if
enough.
someone goes down, they could always. Well, I guess they can't look at the buyout market, can they?
No.
No,
Because
I
of
they're
think
that
they're
threshold.
restricted. I think they
Yeah.
have like if no one gets them after like 2 weeks or something, they can pick them up. I think there's a time limit. Um, like the Bucks or someone could sign them immediately because they're under the threshold, but they have to wait a certain amount of time. It's kind of like waivers, I think.
Okay. But like with the Celtics in this trade, really the two big question marks for them are their depth, and since they got rid of Rob Will, really just how are they going to defend players like Giannis and Joel Embiid in the playoffs? Because obviously you still have Al Horford, and even at however old he is, like 40 years old, he's going to try his best. But against those top level players, I think it might be a struggle for him. Because even though Rob Will was pretty injury prone and didn't play as many games as you'd like him to, he's definitely still a force to be reckoned with when he did play.
That's such a good pickup for Portland. I really like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think the combination of Aiton and Rob Will as your two centers is, I mean, this is the best center duo Portland's had in, I mean, maybe ever.
Jailblazers at least.
DeAndre Ayton wants to be a power forward, Tucker.
He does.
Oh,
Just get him to
He
start
can
shooting.
finally
No.
get his wish.
No,
Run
What
run the
happened to
Twin
Mike
Tower
Muscala?
lineup.
Wasn't Mike Muscala on the Celtics?
I
He's
think
a
he
big, right?
was.
They traded for him.
He's not there anymore though. I don't know.
Was he a free agent?
I don't think he signed anywhere though.
So I guess he's still
He might
out
have.
there.
There's so many things that Shams and Woj say that I don't care about.
Cody, how much did you say that trade exception that they had was?
Like
I think
6.
6 million.
I can pull up the
Throw
trade
in
machine.
like $3 million more. They could be in store for a Daniel Tice reunion.
Peyton Pritchard's 4 million. Luke
Oh.
Cornett's 2.
Jackson. Mike Muscala was part of the Porzingis deal, so he's on
They traded him.
Washington.
Okay,
Mm,
that poor guy.
sent
I
to
don't even
hell.
remember him being in that deal.
I don't either.
Playing behind.
That's
Daniel
because Marcus
Gafford.
Smart was the big piece.
Did you guys see, just real quick, did you see Bilal Coulibaly? They might play him in the G League.
Bilal Coulibaly,
Really?
they traded
Really?
up for him. We literally got Obi
Yeah.
Toppin for that.
That's
Give us
crazy
2 picks to trade for Obi Toppin. Wow.
for a G League player.
His potential's through the roof though.
It's because they said he'd split minutes a little bit, but I'm like, why would you suck? Just play him in the regular season and let him
He's
figure
like
it
a
out.
really raw prospect though.
Yeah.
I guess it is weird if they're planning on sucking that they're not just going to play him.
What do you guys think about Brogdon? Where do you think some suitors for him could be? Because I saw
Well, currently
a report.
Portland announced like during the meeting he's on the team. They're keeping him.
Bruh. By the
Really?
deadline. You're not keeping him by the deadline.
Yeah,
He needs to
no,
get
I
his
think
value up.
I think he'll be moved at the deadline, but currently what Portland talked about at media day was Cronin said the team got really young and he had to be careful that it doesn't get too young, and he doesn't want to have to make Jeremy Grant and Chauncey
Right.
handle all of the mentorship.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
smart.
I feel
Malcolm
bad for
Brogdon's a good
Brogdon.
vet for that.
They call
Yeah.
him the Prez, don't they?
Yeah,
He got
no,
off a
he's
rebuilding Pacers team.
And-
We're like, here, let's go to a contender. We respect you. And then the contender's like, hey, let's try to trade you twice to a bad
After he won
rebuilding team.
6th man of the year too.
Poor
right.
guy. Okay, ultimate loser though, the Heat and his emo haircut,
Oh
bro.
my god. The Heat are
I'd
down
be emo
bad.
too.
I
Did you
think,
see what Tyler Hero said?
He's
yeah,
mad at Portland
Yeah.
because he wanted to be traded there. What's he like, Needles?
Well, I don't-
honestly,
Go ahead.
the losers overall is kind of the entire Eastern Conference.
Pretty much.
Like all the teams that are like not quite contenders but are playoff teams. So anywhere from like the Cavs, the Knicks, Pacers, all those teams are now with the trades basically more than likely shut out of NBA Finals appearances for the next at least couple seasons.
So we were
Oh,
shut out
man. Does
regardless.
this mean the
we gotta
Bulls
make
are
the
cooked?
playoffs.
Well, but it's going to change the way teams build like how things work. Cause like the Pacers aren't gonna go out and make some kind of trade to get a player because like the roster we have now isn't gonna, contend with Dame and Giannis. Like who out there
Mhm.
can contend with? Maybe if it was just Giannis,
If
you know,
Joel
maybe
Embiid requests a trade,
you make a big trade or something like that, or the Cavs make a big trade or something, the Knicks. But the
Mhm.
way it is now, I think that you gotta almost play
almost.
the development and see where we can get in a season or two before, I think it's gonna put a cap on the big trades that happen in the East. Now, the West is another story, but at least in the East, it kind of puts a cap on things.
Mhm.
Dog, you know the Bulls are gonna trade for like James Wiseman, not James Wiseman, James Harden. They're gonna something stupid. They're like, we're not blowing it up, I swear.
You're gonna trade for James Harden and make a play-in push.
By the
Or the
way,
Swept by
Raptors.
Giannis.
the rule is those teams above the second apron can't sign buyout players at all
Ah,
during the
Oh,
season.
that's even
Okay.
Once the
worse.
off season comes, they can sign them like for normal free agency, but they cannot sign any buyout player during the season.
What about the
Hmm.
first apron? Is there restrictions on the first apron at all?
No, not for buyouts.
I'm probably thinking of something else.
I don't believe, at least there's nothing about it in what I'm reading.
We'll just have to experience it. It's all new this year.
Right.
All right. Well, Tucker, your franchise traded away their arguably their best player in franchise history. How you feeling? How you liking the roster? And how you liking how that ended up?
I think, I mean, I was sad when it happened. But and I was worried because I still don't fully trust Cronin, but I did not trust him when this was going down. Um, but once the Drew Holiday trade happened, I was like, okay, this was a solid, like very good trade. And I think that the team is finally chosen a direction. They were kind of struggling with Chauncey had a way he wanted to run the offense for the past 2 years. All they say in media day is like, we have a couple of these long wings and centers that can run the floor, but we need to find more. And then today they said, like, we have the team. They're young, there's gonna be growing pains. But like we for the next 3 years, everyone's locked down on contract and they're athletic. We're gonna run the floor. So I think Chauncey can finally start to develop his style of play with his own team.
I honestly really like the roster that they managed to put together. Like I know the West is stacked, but like on paper, like it might be a borderline play-in team
I agree.
because I really like the names on the roster. It's just whether or not they
They
can compete
fit.
with some of those stacked teams in the West.
I think it's gonna come down to how like Scoot and Sharp can they
Yeah.
play at least at an average NBA player level? Like, are they gonna make too many rookie mistakes? Well, Sharp being a sophomore, but you know,
Who do you think is going to be the number one option on this team? Because I'd say probably Simons for sure to
Yeah.
start,
I think
and then
Scoot's
maybe
gonna take
Scoot can
over.
develop into that. Yeah.
I think, well, from what I've heard, because from the media day, what they talked about, they've been running a lot of scrimmages last week or two. Is Scoot is very unselfish. He just passes the ball. He breaks it down and passes. So I think Scoot might be a little lower on the scoring end, and he could surprise and like average 8+ assists. But I'm really high on Simons right now because Dame in his exit letter, if you read it,
Yeah,
the
it was
only
sad.
player he like specifically
Made me
mentioned
cry.
is Simons, and he says like that dude's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the play and push. I've been looking at teams above them, and you're right. Earlier talking like the Mavericks or the 11th seed. Like I don't see them better than any of these teams. Like I could see them as a 12th seed, but then again, the Rockets got better. I see them better than the Jazz and Spurs for sure. But like the Pelicans are in the play-in. Like if Zion's healthy, that's cooked. The
The
Thunder, they're gonna
West
get
is
better.
very deep
Yeah,
this year. It's going to come down to injuries and all that.
I mean maybe the Clippers blow it up and then they're out of the play-in. I don't know, but apparently they're all healthy for the first time ever. That's what they said going into training camp.
Interesting.
Kawhi tears meniscus in training camp.
Right. So
You're going to speak it into existence.
let's talk about a team we haven't talked about yet in all of this.
I want to talk
The
about the Bucks.
Bucks.
Yeah,
Because obviously they have some very interesting things going on there with two top 10 players in the NBA
Yeah, because we did
on the
that
same
last
team.
week and we all had Giannis and Dame on our list, didn't we?
Yep.
Yes, we
Mhm.
did.
So that's, I think, the only team in the league that had multiple players from that list.
Unless you count the Lakers on Tucker's.
That's true. Tucker did have AD.
So
Yeah.
the Bucks have, you know, a new star in Dame. They have the new coach, getting Adrian Griffin. And they basically only had to sacrifice
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday and some picks.
And Grayson Allen. Who are they gonna have
Grayson Allen.
break someone's hand?
So,
Bobby.
Bobber.
like this was a really, I feel like this was a really good move for Milwaukee, because at the end of the day, Giannis wants to win now, and you have to make Giannis happy. And I mean, obviously their backcourt defense is gonna take a big hit, going from Drew Holiday and Grayson Allen to Dame and Malik Beasley. A little bit of traffic cones defensively there, but they still have Brooke Lopez,
And Giannis.
arguably the best defensive center in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Giannis, who we talked about last time, really hasn't been as good on defense as he had been. I mean, he's still been good.
He was
Um,
hurt.
But yeah, I think there's that other gear that he can get to, and they'll probably need that this year if they don't want to just rely on outscoring everybody. But I mean, I really like this team. I don't know about you all.
I feel like Giannis is one of the best help defenders in the league, which will help. Like they can
Mhm.
just like funnel that into Brook Lopez or himself blocking it.
Yeah.
I'm more intrigued about their offense because like the way to stop Giannis is building that wall, and then you're gonna have Damian Lillard that can shoot from 50 feet out here. And then
Right.
in the past, to stop Damian Lillard, you throw a bunch of bodies at him, and then Giannis is wide open, throw a lob to him.
Yeah, they're gonna be
Like
unstoppable.
it's like the first duo I've seen in a while that have like different like I guess assets in basketball. Like you think about the Jays in Boston, they kind of play the same way. You kind of shut them down the same way. But Giannis and Dame are like complete opposite players. Like you couldn't have
Yeah.
more different players in how they play. And
'Cause
they're just a really cool duo.
Yeah, really what the Bucks did is they saw what the Pacers had going on with Tyrese and Miles.
Yes,
And we're
Exactly.
like, we need something like that. So they, went out and got it.
For
I
bonus.
think the real thing for them is shooting guard is kind of the big question mark right now. Because you have Malik Beasley, you have Pat Connaughton, I guess Marjon Beachcamp.
I'd be happy with any of them
Bojan.
shooting a
Yeah.
wide open three because they're going to be wide open.
yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Are they going to be able to hit their threes?
Because they have Chris
Hopefully.
Middleton too, like as a third
Mhm.
option. Like he was
Yeah.
considered the Batman by some analysts 2 years ago.
Well, okay,
Now he's the
let's slow
Alfred.
down. But yeah, having Chris Middleton hopefully fully healthy for an entire season is really gonna help as well.
All-time leading net scorer of all time, Brook Lopez.
And of course
True.
they have Brook Lopez healthy.
I think that what you can look at with the stats of just on paper knowing that this offense is going to work, even if people aren't hitting their shots, is there's two things. Giannis, I think has averaged the most points in the NBA over the last 5 seasons, and Dame has averaged the most points for a guard over the last 5 seasons. And Dame on the Blazers last season, when he was on the floor, Portland was had the best offensive rating in the NBA. When he was off the floor, it was not so great. So you add that with Giannis, they're gonna score.
And
Yeah.
Dame isn't the biggest slouch on defense. Like when he's trying, he's at least serviceable. Like he's not Drew Holiday clamps, but there's a lot worse defenders. Like he's not Trae Young running out here.
Yeah. And I think you can look at how much of does Dame being viewed as like a bad defender just get put on the fact that Portland in general was a bad defensive team.
Right.
So
He didn't prioritize defense with Stotts.
Mhm.
yeah.
Plus, even if you look at the Bucks, their guards as being negative defenders, if you look at the East and who the Bucks could run up against in the playoffs, really they don't like there's not a ton of guards in the East that they would even need to worry about. Because like you have your Embiids, you have your Jason Tatums, your Jimmy Butlers, but like really Jalen Brunson and Tyrese are the biggest guards you have to worry about.
Maybe Drew Holiday.
Yeah, maybe Drew, but really the East is a very wing and center oriented, I guess, division.
Yeah.
So I really don't think that's going to end up being the biggest issue when you have Giannis and Dame, who, like Jackson said, can complement each other super well.
I mean, they don't have to worry about Steph Curry unless they make it to the finals, and I'm not too confident in the Warriors' success.
Did you all see Chris Paul in the Warriors jersey?
No,
No,
I
does
saw that
not look
Draymond's
real.
hurt.
I was thinking about this for the Warriors. I think they'd be so much better if they had Malcolm Brogdon instead of Chris Paul. Like if that trade.
Don't worry,
Chris
Kuminga
Paul
hurt
just-
Draymond just so he could get some minutes.
I almost feel like I don't know if this is going to age well or not, but the Chris Paul to the Warriors trade almost feels like the Russ to the Lakers trade, where they kind of went name chasing and they didn't really get a player that fits super well. Because obviously Chris Paul with his basketball IQ really fits the Warriors offense and what they like to do. But skill set wise, I don't really know that he's what they needed.
It's not as bad.
But like I
as the
said,
Russ
that could
trade.
age horribly. Yeah.
Because like when you think about Russ and LeBron, like what are they doing? They do the same exact thing. Like at least Chris Paul facilitates and Curry can play off ball and they play a little bit of defense. But like when Russ had the ball and then have the balls in the hands, what is he gonna do? And like he can't shoot threes, neither can LeBron. AD lost his 3-point shooting. Like that was just terrible from the beginning.
Because they both need a team with a million shooters around them. And instead, you just had two of those ball dominant players with no shooters at all, besides
Mhm.
Austin Reeves.
I'm more worried about their
The big three.
defense in the Warriors. Because like Clay's not where he was before, and neither's Chris Paul and like healthiness.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I-
Draymond, he was a beast last year, but he's getting up there in age.
I think the Warriors would be fine defensively, at least okay, if Chris Paul was just coming off the bench.
But
But
he
it
wants to
kind of
start.
sounds like, yeah, I'm a little worried about that.
I mean, if Draymond's hurt, he could at least start for a little bit.
Maybe
Then we'll
he's the one
see.
who injured him.
Don't worry. Yeah, now they don't have they can start everybody because they have 5 starters if Draymond's hurt.
Mm-hmm. And they do still have Wiggins.
Nobody ever talks about what, like, I feel like Wiggins is half the time their second best player.
I mean, when they won the chip, like there's an argument to be made that he was the second best player on that squad.
Absolutely.
I do like Wiggins. That's why I want Cat to get traded. I don't believe in the Wolves.
I could see it at the trade deadline.
To New York. What do you guys think about Mr. Beast sponsoring the Hornets?
That seems like such a Hornets thing to do.
Yeah, it
That's
matches
gonna be
their
so
vibe.
funny.
I mean, he's from North Carolina. Like, I'm like, what if he just bought the team? Like, he should have done that. And he's like, rebuilding the Hornets in real life. I'd watch it.
I saw somebody said he should challenge the team to win a championship for a video.
I didn't seek at the what center is it? I don't know where they
Ty
play.
Jones.
He's so. How are you so bad on social media that the team is like, all right, just go away for a little bit?
I think
The
it's more
team
the
sent him home
slandering.
for being a little
Yeah.
silly goofy.
I think it's the team slandering. You can't have like a player talk about your other players like that.
Yeah, but they can have Miles Bridges on the roster.
That's just beating his wife. I mean, that's terrible. He shouldn't have a job, but
Kai Jones was a little too goofy for their liking.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Miles Bridges is suspended, right? Like what, half the season? He can't play either.
Yeah.
Miles Bridges 10 games.
Yeah.
What for beating his wife? Jaw got more
Yeah.
for showing a gum.
They argue that since he sat out this whole entire past season, that counted.
Okay, Josh still flashed a gun, and there's like half the season.
Josh
Yeah.
Primo flashed something else, and he only got 4 games.
Jaw's working on his shot. You can't blame him. Of course, he's gonna have a gun. Want to get that 50-40-90 club? He's a shooter, dude. Don't worry, Marcus Smart's gonna dye his hair a different color to get Jaw to stop shooting.
Do you think he will dye it blue? Because I
It
know the
already
whole reason he
is.
dyed it green was like for his mom. Is it
I'm
really?
pretty sure it's already blue.
Oh, it's for his mom. I thought it was for the Celtics.
No, he dyed it because it's his mom's favorite color, but he dyed his hair a
Oh.
few times before that. Like he had different colors. I'm pretty sure it's blue. Maybe I'm thinking of Kai Jones. His is baby blue, isn't it? I
I
don't
thought
know.
his was like pink, or with him it could have been changing daily.
It's like that
Uh,
Dennis Rodman treatment. They're gonna show up
At
in like WWE.
at media day, Marcus Smart just had like black hair. Like it
Oh,
looks
so he
like
went
his
back to
normal
normal.
hair. Looks like it maybe has some highlights at the end, but it is just a dark, like black hair.
Oh, I
Very
just saw a
depressed.
tweet that says Lakers big three, and it's LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Austin
Austin
Reeves.
Reeves,
I
bro.
saw
Huh.
that they took a photo together.
Don't they mean Rui Hachimura? I
I
don't
think
think you're a
Rui.
big three.
I think Rui will be good this year. It's they were hyping him up over the offseason about his work ethic.
He is a pacer.
Tucker, how do you think DeAndre Ayton's going to play this year? Because I mean, him not trying in Phoenix was still 18-10.
He could be
That's
MIP
that's
candidate.
what. Yeah, I think because Portland they talked about that actually. Chauncey Billups said we're not going to treat him like Joel Embiid and just like give him 30 touches and be like go do your thing. But he did say he's going to expect him to take an increased role. And if he's getting 18 and 10 on a contending team that wouldn't give him the ball, I mean, he's playing in Portland with Scoot Henderson, who's supposed to be a facilitator. I would argue he could be putting a little over 20 and possibly 10, 12 rebounds.
He has a lob threat, so that's always positive. Like that's
Mhm.
easier to get. You can spoon feed him with Anthony Simons or Scoot or someone. Just easy 10 points. Then to give him like 10 touches a game in the first half, or like in total, and see if he's cooking. If he's not, just limit him.
Mm-hmm.
That's good for development. Are you going to play him with Rob Will, or you think you're going to alternate minutes? Because neither
I
of them
think
are
they're
great
going to
shooters.
alternate and occasionally, like maybe there's a couple minutes a game that they play together. But I think they'll alternate. We need a backup center. We don't have a backup center if Rob Will is the starting power forward. So
Well,
What do you think the starting lineup's going to be? Obviously, Scoot and Simons,
Grant at the
then
4.
Ayton at 5,
I think
Grant at the 3, maybe,
I was
I
thinking
think Grant will
4.
be at the 4 and Thibault will start at the 3.
Yeah.
and then Rob Will off the bench.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna argue here. Scoot
might
will
start
have the starting
Sharp.
job by the end of the season, but Chauncey does not like to like he likes to make you prove yourself. I think Malcolm could start at the very beginning.
Scoot and Sharp off the bench.
It's a possibility. I think it's up in the air on how training camp goes, on how everyone plays together, but there's a chance.
Have fun with that, because every time Malcolm played with Tyrese, it like hurt Tyrese's development. Tyrese did
Mhm.
not play the same.
Yeah, and
Malcolm every
also
once in a while just decides to score, and nobody else is getting that ball.
Yeah,
hopefully he doesn't do that.
kind of like someone on our pro am team.
Just goes into Malcolm mode.
Malcolm
The
mode.
Malcolm mode.
I don't think Sharp will start at the 3. I think he'll get some small forward minutes, but it sounds like from media day, Portland views him as a shooting guard.
Which he
I think they're
is.
tired.
And I mean,
I
yeah,
think-
he is. But
Yeah, I think they're tired of the
Two
triple
guard.
guard lineup.
Hey, if all else
after
fails,
all these years,
you could trade Anthony in a few years if the other two are good enough, or trade one of them. You just do it talent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what they'll do is they're gonna just let the 3 develop, and if they need to, they'll just trade one of them for a small forward or something.
Imagine you trade
Um,
Scoot because he sucks, and you're like, man, we traded Dame for nothing.
there's no way.
Well, you didn't trade
Scoot is a
Dame for
dog.
nothing.
No, I believe in Scoot.
Yeah, no,
Tucker,
he
how do you
looks.
go ahead?
No, go ahead.
How do you feel about the whole Dame tried to backtrack and come back to the team, but then the GM just said nah?
So I've looked into that, and from what I've seen, it's not like Dame came back and said, "I just want to rescind the trade request." It was more of a, "I will come back and play." Like I kind of want to come back and play
Until you find a
while
deal with the
having it
Heat.
while they find a deal with the Heat. And Cronin
Mhm.
told him like, "I don't think that's a good idea. It's gonna hurt the team to have that on over top of them all season."
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Obviously, the NBA media is gonna blow up everything to make it sound worse than what it really is. But yeah, I mean, you've seen that with other teams and trade request hanging over them. It's historically, it's not a good thing. It never has been, never will be. It's just bad for chemistry. I mean, it's hard to play with a guy that doesn't even want to be there playing with you, you know? It's
Mm-hmm.
That's why like the James Harden stuff's so messy right now. Like, could this
Right.
lead to Embiid, like, if they don't get enough package, Embiid gassing out in like a year or so?
I
'Cause he's
think if it's
already
not
kind of
going
petty
well
enough.
this year, I think if it's not going well this year, like if they're just not doing well and the Bucks and the Celtics are killing it, he could
Mhm.
try and
My
force
man,
his way out.
my man said free agency's fun with the smiley face.
Right when he said like what was he? He was like, I don't like they didn't get that much better or something. He was like taking a shot at them. I was like, are you sure?
He needs to do the Eric Bledsoe. I don't want to be here. Who would even trade for him? Like New York? Is that who they've been waiting for?
I mean,
thing
yeah, I
is-
think-
Really, with a guy
what do
like
you-
Embiid on the market, like everyone should be interested.
Right, but what do
Mhm.
you even trade for him? I mean, looking at
Every
what,
pick imaginable.
yeah,
New York
every,
has like 20 picks they could trade.
I mean, you're talking about the MVP, reigning MVP of the league. Like, that'd be an unimaginable trade package.
Because it'd probably be
Portland.
like the KD package where you give
Yeah.
them 2 or 3 really, really good young players, and then every pick that you have pretty
Or
much.
Gobert trade.
I think
Ugh.
the Thunder are the best bet because I think they trade one or two of
Yeah.
their young guys, like maybe one of the really good ones, and then like
See
one
ya,
of the like
Chet.
more bench ones, and then like 6 picks.
It might more than that.
Because I mean, they have their war chest of picks. They could just give them like 12 picks.
Like New
Right.
York's been stockpiling for 2-3 years.
Because you could trade like both the Jalen Williams, and then contracts to make it work.
'Cause, I
The
mean, heck-
Sixers are gonna love Daniel Tyson, Buddy Hield.
Hey, we can also throw in Jalen Smith.
That's true. Give him someone young, someone to
Yeah,
look
I think
forward
they'd
to.
have to give you back a second if you threw in Jalen. Just make
He's
it fair.
23-year-old stud.
Do you all think anybody's gonna trade for James Harden?
No.
I
'Cause
could
have
see
no
him
clue what team would want them.
doing a buyout, like sending him to
That's a big contract to buy out.
like
Yeah,
like the Jazz or the
Don't get
Wizards.
anything.
Couple seconds.
Did you guys see the Kevin Garnett thing? What he said?
No,
No,
Kevin Garnett just be talking.
It was I don't remember who he was talking to, but the first guy said you got to be careful. Like the league doesn't need you.
Oh, I saw
speaking of
that,
James
yeah.
Harden, and then he was like, you only get so many wiggles. You don't have infinite wiggles.
What the?
He said you can only wiggle your way out of a place so many times. You don't get an infinite
Yeah.
amount.
Because like, what team's gonna look at that and be like, okay, I'll trade my assets for you, and then even if you sign an extension, what's to say in like a year from now you're not gonna try and force your way out again?
Houston.
Oh no.
He's going
Right.
to like a dumb team like the Bulls or the Raptors that like are delusional. They're like, we're not gonna blow it up. We're good. Like
I
at
could
least when the
100%
Pacers
see the
wouldn't blow it
Raptors
up,
that.
we knew we weren't good enough to like go get somebody. So we're just like, we'll just be mediocre. Get money in the playoffs, you know. We weren't delusional. We just were greedy.
I just don't know that there's a market for him right now after
Yeah.
everything he's done.
You know who should trade for Embiid?
Hmm.
Memphis. And they could trade Jaren Jackson. And like some picks. So I don't like that team. Like it's not bad. It's just something about
Last
it.
year, their half court offense was not it.
Yeah, it's just when I watch them, I'm like, this isn't very fun.
Nothing quite fixes half court offense like Joel Embiid.
They'll get some more free throws. I don't know. I just think he'd be a fun duo with Ja. That's just me though.
Pivoting from Joel Embiid to his better counterpart, Nikola Jokic, did you guys see that he like didn't touch a basketball all summer?
Yeah.
He was
I
playing with
believe
his
it.
horses.
It's gonna crack me up if he comes out there and just cooks again and is in like top 3 MVP voting again because it's like man doesn't touch a basketball for 3-4 months and still cooks.
So he did the AD exercise because after AD won the championship, he
Yes.
didn't touch a basketball either.
Yeah, but AD needs to.
Well, if you
We don't know
remember,
Jokic doesn't.
Jokic, I think said just about the same thing last year. And if you remember, he was a little rusty to start
Mhm.
last season. So I'd imagine it'll probably be something similar this year. He just has to knock off the rust and get back to in the basketball mode.
Oh yeah, by the way, guys, the Bucks on campaign, so that's actually a pretty good pickup for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
We
not
didn't
bad.
talk about him earlier, but I
they
was
did not.
thinking Jokic like clotheslined him that one playoff.
They did not have a point guard, so they really needed somebody.
A
So
backup point guard, you mean?
yeah, and at the end of the day, it's only October 2nd. There's still a lot more small level signings and
Buddy
even
Hield.
small
Yeah, I mean,
trades that could
Buddy Hield
happen.
could still be on the move.
Yeah, I mean,
It
from
really
the
seems like
sounds-
he's gonna stay though
I was
after
gonna say
the media
from,
day.
from the sounds of media day, it sounds like as with everything, you know, basically since the talks staled and the initial report even said that they would consider or something like that trades. Like it didn't say they
Mhm.
were actively shopping him, that they were calling everybody in the league trying to get rid of Buddy Hield. It
I think he said
said,
open to discussing.
yeah, that they would entertain offers basically. So, and then of course, everything
Everyone was
just
like,
ran
he's
with
getting
it.
traded.
But like, and I think
Gary Harris.
I don't remember who I mentioned this to. I think it was Peyton. Whenever that report came out, I was like, he won't be traded before the trade deadline. I wouldn't think.
That's how our team rolls. We're very cautious, unless it's like a blockbuster deal
And
that
like I
like
was telling
we clearly
Peyton,
win.
what if we get to the trade deadline, Buddy Hield's found a role he really likes, and we
Like
come to an
Miles Turner.
agreement
Yeah.
on a contract extension.
Like I
Consider
really
it
feel like
Miles.
how good we are will play a big factor in whether or
Right.
not he gets moved. Because like if
Yeah.
we're super good, if we're like the 3-4 seed, why would he want to get traded?
It
And
would
if
be
he's
funny
like
though
contributing to that,
Right.
if he
And
requests out.
at the end of the day, the Pacers are a small market team. So, NBA media always will try to push big markets. So when somebody that's good in a small market could possibly be traded, they're going to be all over it. Just look
Mhm.
at Sabonis a couple seasons ago before he signed that extension. It was, they can't come to an agreement. He's going to be traded. It was like what everybody was saying. And then like 3 days later, he signs that extension. Now,
think
granted, we
Miles.
did end up trading him, but that wasn't because we couldn't come to an agreement. It was because we decided to finally rebuild. But, it's just kind of how the NBA operates. It's just,
Mhm.
We're gonna trade him to the Jazz or something, and we're gonna make the playoffs
They got
without him.
Keontae George.
So he never makes the playoff because
That's
he's the
true.
longest tenured player without
if
making the playoffs.
if we trade him, we are guaranteed to make the playoffs.
That's
Just
true.
like the Kings, they're gonna miss again this year because
Real quick, you said longest tenured. Did you guys see that Shaden Sharp is the second longest tenured Trailblazer?
ours is
That's
Miles
crazy.
Turner.
That's crazy.
Who's the first?
Simons by 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, well, what with the Pacers? So Miles Turner's the longest tenured.
Yeah, 8 years.
Mhm.
Who's the second longest? Like
I think it's TJ
TJ
McConnell.
Yeah, TJ
Oh yeah, it
McConnell.
would be.
That's crazy. As somebody who, got into Pacers basketball during the Vic era, that's a crazy thing to think about, that Miles Turner is the longest surviving member of that team.
Yeah, because he was
I
the one
can
on the trading
see-
block forever.
I could see TJ being a trade deadline move,
No.
possibly.
No,
These
touch
two
I
will
mean-
not discuss this. Do not. I've argued with them so many
You,
times.
you don't want to try and give
Untouchable.
minutes to Nimhard.
Untouchable. Nimhard will get his minutes. I'm not worried about that.
I'm worried about Neesmith.
I think TJ McConnell just impacts winning a lot more than Neesmith. And Neesmith has the potential to be really, really good one day, but
I think we have
As of
too many
right now-
guards.
Even if TJ McConnell doesn't play like 20 minutes a game, even if he's
Yeah.
only getting like 12 minutes a game, that's still more valuable to me than trading him for picks or anything
because that's the
like
big
that.
thing.
If he's going to
No
leave
team's
next
going
year,
to give
though,
up a lot of crap for TJ McConnell.
Yeah, nobody's gonna give us really anything.
The
Like,
Miami Heat need guards.
here's
take a
2
second.
seconds.
I'll
Like,
take
I'd
it.
rather just have TJ McConnell a full season.
I'd rather. I want to get rid of Danny Tice first, actually.
That's true.
Yeah, we
But
do need
especially
to probably get
now-
rid of Daniel Tice.
Oh my
But now that
god.
the Pacers are actually trying to win, like TJ McConnell is perfect for the team.
The trade
Yeah.
machine has Isaiah Jackson as a small forward.
Ugh.
Checks out.
You know, that Roy Hibbert quote will always be true.
Do they know? He doesn't even look like a small forward.
He looks like a power forward center.
My
I think
boy's
we need to
literally
pick
like
one of
7
those
feet
two.
tall.
To be fair, he was a power forward in college. Like, that's
Small
what he
forward, buddy.
came in listed as. So
A
like,
three.
they at least got Ford, you know, could be in the range, but
Isn't he 6'10"?
I think he's a little shorter than that.
If he could become mobile enough to guard the 4, I think that would be really good for
I
him.
think he's
'cause
mobile enough. He can't really. He's not very offensively shaped as a
Yeah.
4, and he's very like jump happy. But like he's like
Mhm.
what 21, 22 years old. He came in really
Right.
young, so he's kind of raw. Same with Jalen Smith. Like those two are just very raw.
Yeah,
I think
Big
best
Sig a
case
lot longer.
scenario, he ends up being like a Rob Will type player,
Yeah,
That's best
Trailblazers
case.
legend.
or even Kevon Looney, like
Yes.
that type of small center that does that. I mean, he's listed at 6'9", Isaiah Jackson. 6'9",
Girthy man.
205.
He could not be in the cruiserweight division, Peyton.
No, he could not. Too thick. So obviously the Suns got a lot better from all these trades. The Bucks got better. I think the Celtics got better. Do you guys see this like moving whoever is going to win the championship? Because obviously the Nuggets didn't do a lot.
I think
They're
it's
still going
coming
to
out
have
of
to
the
go through the
East.
Nuggets, but
I had the Nuggets in question a little bit just because it's hard to repeat. They lost Bruce Brown.
Mhm.
I still had them as the favorite, but I think it moves it a little bit. I've got the Bucks as my favorite right now.
I had to
Just
see
I
them.
think I agree. I think
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
Bucks 1, Nuggets 2, then probably Celtics 3.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Celtics because I mean, when you think about it, they were in the finals 2 seasons ago and could have won a championship that year. And basically the difference, I mean, they lost depth obviously, but Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum's only going to get better. Jaylen Brown may finally figure out how to at least dribble with his left hand. Like
His hand might heal.
they have the tools to win a championship. But yeah, I don't, I definitely think the Nuggets, are probably hurt the most out of all the trades that have happened.
I still feel like the Nuggets come out of the West just because even though the Suns got better, Nurkic is not going to be able to guard Jokic in the playoffs.
No.
Like I don't care how much he hates Jokic, there's only so
Right.
far that can get him.
Because
I-
then the question becomes how much can the scoring of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal overcome what Jokic is doing? Because obviously they don't. I mean, they have Aaron Gordon as their primary defender now of anybody.
Plus, with the
So
Suns, like KD's going to be playing power forward, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
probably
just no defense at all in that starting lineup. And like
right.
obviously KD can defend, but as I don't know that you want him defending like let's say it's Suns Bucks in the finals. You don't want him on Giannis.
Right.
I actually have the Suns as my third in the West. I think the Lakers are better than them right now.
I think
Just
it
'cause
depends on
they've got the
LeBron's
depth.
health.
I just think the West is so up in the air because you have the Mavericks who didn't even make the playoffs last year. They could have a giant jump. You still have the Grizzlies
The
who
Clippers.
arguably got better. The Clippers, who knows if they're going to be healthy this year. The Kings, who are just the 3 seed, they're still going to be there. OKC's kind of rising up the ranks. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out. But I still think the Nuggets are definitely the favorite.
Yeah. Because I think at this point it's everybody else has to prove it, right? Like the
Mhm.
Nuggets have proven they can win an NBA championship, and like we talked about, they lost Bruce Brown, which I think is a really big loss for them,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't really supplant him with anything.
Christian Braun is going to play very well.
Yeah.
Good.
I think they're betting
Yeah.
on him.
Christian Brown. I hate that that's how he wants it pronounced, but
It's literally Braun. Like
it's literally Braun. But Christian Brown, is he played really well in the playoffs. But like
Mhm.
they have that chemistry, and that's, that's the thing that gets talked about a lot with college basketball right now, with the transfer portal. All these teams have, new faces every year. It's kind of the same in the NBA this year, right? Like everybody's moved around. You have all these new faces. It's going to take a while just to develop some chemistry. Like look at Devin Booker and KD and the Suns in the playoffs last year. That was clunky. Look, I mean, you could tell that they'd never played together before. And so it's going to be about how the health, as everybody stay healthy, and chemistry development. Even the East teams, like getting Drew in and figuring out how the ball handling duties work there, and on ball, who gets to dribble and score and stuff. And also, even with the Bucks, obviously you don't have to worry about it as much, but still just finding that rhythm and that chemistry. And the Nuggets have the ability to hit the ground running, so
I
that's
agree.
something to consider. I'm not saying that is going to make or break an NBA championship,
My only rebuttal is
but
82 game season. They have the
Right.
whole season. Like it's not like the Suns
okay,
that
but
had the trade
look
deadline.
at
But
look
like
at
the,
how
the
many games
deadline.
Kevin Durant played last year, 45. Look at how many games a lot of the stars played, like 50.
I'm more
So
talking
like,
about for like the Bucks and the Celtics. They have a lot more time to figure out that chemistry than the trade
yeah,
deadline.
and that's what I said, they have time, but also you look at if injuries start piling up and teams don't play together, you get weird lineups. It's something to consider.
Yeah, but you can
I
say that
think
about every year.
And
I think one thing that with like helping Cody here would be they're gonna know the system more. So
right,
like with the injuries, the secondary guys that are gonna step in, maybe they're not as good, but they've got that system down. There's gonna be
Right.
Suns players that they're not gonna play a ton. And if they have to step in, they're not gonna know exactly where to be and like, oh,
right.
I can cut here.
Like what happens in like the Eastern Conference Finals if Kevin Durant tweaks his ankle and has to be out a half?
Western.
Like, yeah, that's what Western Conference Finals. Like you're gonna have Ishmael Wainwright stepping up and taking those big minutes. It's there's
Gonna be
definitely
Drew
some stuff to
Eubanks.
consider. They like we said, they have time to figure out chemistry, right? That's kind of what this time of year is about. Going out and hanging out together and just building that off-court chemistry, which leads to on-court chemistry. Then
Mhm.
also when you think about the Bucks have a new head coach. That means a new system, new language, new everything that they have to learn. You're looking at uh, the Suns have a new head coach, so
Which could be
and
the
that's
best thing for the Bucks
gonna
because
take tweaking, to get the system right. So, there's definitely a lot of unknowns that they have, like you said, a whole season to figure out, but like they will have to figure it out eventually if they want to beat teams that like the Nuggets that know what they're doing and know their players.
And the
sometimes a new
biggest thing
coach
for
just
all these
makes it.
teams is just health.
Yeah,
Yep.
health.
Like
That's
if they're not
everything.
healthy, none of this matters.
Right.
Which is why trading for like Kristaps Porzingis might be a
Not a
little
good move.
suspect, especially when you gave up all of your depth for it.
Yeah.
like, Dame
I've
has
seen
been fairly healthy except for his abdomen, and they shut him
Yeah.
down last year. And like Giannis
Mhm.
has been hurt, but just I don't know. I prefer the Bucks over the Celtics right now, just how they're set up.
Yep,
And
same here.
thinking about when the Celtics made that finals run, they had a new coach, and sometimes it's just having that coach you can believe in again because they've had Budenholzer for years and they kind of lost the locker room and it's just a new environment. So we'll see how it goes the first few weeks, but I could see that being a really good team.
Because last time the Celtics had all these superstars in the lineup, like
Oh,
they used to have like Kyrie Irving and all of them, and then they just couldn't get healthy and they couldn't develop chemistry and it just didn't end up working out.
yeah.
So hopefully this time they're able to, but Joe Mazzulla is still the head coach of that team. And in last season, he didn't do a great job as their head coach, even though they
Right.
did make a decent little run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where'd
But now
Adrian
he's got
Griffin
more
come from?
people on the bench with him.
He
So
was the Raptors
Raptors.
assistant. So like he's never been a head coach before. And I think that is something like it's, like last year with the Celtics, like you just talked about with Joe Mazzulla, like
It's 50-50
Adrian
though.
Griffin's never been a head coach before, and now he's the
Mhm.
head coach of a championship favorite team. Like those are some big shoes to fill.
Was
And
MA a
No.
head coach before he took the finals?
I don't
I don't think so.
think
It's just
so.
it all depends on how the players respond to the coach.
Right,
And
and
like
I mean, it also depends on the coach, how well, I mean, obviously Adrian Griffin has a lot of experience. He's been in some facet an assistant coach in the league since 2008. So that's a lot of coaching experience, and he also played in the league as a player. So that's
Plus,
definitely helpful, but
he's also coming into the organization from the outside. Whereas with someone like Joe
right.
Mazzulla, he was an assistant, and I heard in the locker room he was kind of like the assistant that everybody liked, and he was buddies with the players. And sometimes when you're coaching, that really doesn't translate all that well
I heard it.
because they didn't really respect him
Yeah.
like as much as they probably should have. Because you had Marcus Smart checking himself into games and crap like that.
Right.
They shipped his butt out though.
I wonder if
Oh,
Joe had a part in that.
I'm just so happy you're not going to see Grayson Allen not take the last shot with 3 seconds left to win the game. That might be the Suns. The Suns might have that happening for him.
Oh, the Suns with Devin Booker, KD, and Bradley Beal. They're gonna have him taking the last shot.
And then he doesn't even get it off in time. Like, what was that? Ugh. I like how the Heat are just like, yeah, we're good. I'm getting a championship this year. And I'm like, no, you're not.
They're like, dude, we got Josh Richardson now.
We got Thomas Bryant, okay? We got the best backup center in the league. My God.
Yeah,
I didn't even know they got Thomas Bryant.
Suns
I'm
gonna
not gonna
sign Isaiah Thomas. Little
Uh,
man.
Isaiah Thomas spends all his time on Twitter just begging teams to sign him.
They need to get
He's-
him and they need to get Boogie. Just have a
Yeah.
1 through 5 that can only get buckets.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry, KD and Booker. I don't really mean that.
The
They
other
can play
two.
defense too.
A little bit, yeah.
KD
Not
is a
Bradley
decent
Beal, though.
defender. We haven't seen him try in a little bit.
Ever.
He's had the Washington Wizards curse of playing for the Washington Wizards.
Bilal Coulibaly MVP season.
In the G League.
I was MVP, G League MVP. I was so mad when we drafted him. I was like, who?
Dude,
Tingus
I
Pingus?
literally sat up, like shot up and went,
Yeah.
what?
You texted me, like, I guess you're going for the prospect.
Because I remember I literally told my dad, I was like, watch, they're gonna say some random name I've never heard of in my life. And they did.
I'm gonna see. I think I recorded me reaction to that. I'm gonna see if I can find that.
Do you guys think Jordan Poole will have a successful season where he's like efficient, or do you think he's just gonna be a shot chucker and it's empty points?
I think he'll average well over 20 points.
Yeah.
I think to start he's gonna be a shot chucker.
I think
They got
I
him
don't
and
think he'll
Kuzma.
be horrible in the efficiency category. This is the NBA we're talking about. Nobody plays defense anymore.
Especially against the
Um,
Wizards.
But because that's kind of one of those. All right, you're thinking, oh, I'm playing the Wizards. This will be an easy
Yeah.
win for me, and then
Or they sit players.
Jordan Poole has a 40-point game.
Mhm.
There's always those kind of teams that, as a fan of a team, you're always like, okay, I feel all right going into this game, and then some random person just
Next
has
thing
the
you
night
know,
of their
Kyle
life.
Kuzma has a triple double on your head.
Right. I mean, and I think because Jordan Poole definitely did not have a great season last year, but I think getting out of the situation that he was in, I really think will help him. And like we said, the efficiency could be a little suspect, but I think he'll have a pretty good season.
You guys hear what Kawhi said?
Yeah.
He was like, "Ain't no new rule about sitting out gonna stop me."
Yeah.
My boy just doesn't want to play basketball.
The problem is when he does, his body doesn't.
Kawhi being good at basketball is just a curse to him. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, I gotta go play
I love when
basketball.
he ate all those apples in the steak dinner.
Yeah.
Kawhi's just such a weird dude.
Yeah, I don't, that'll be an interesting situation with the new rules and everything. Curious to see how that'll shake out.
I really do think those rules are going to play a big part in who wins awards this year. Because me and Jackson were talking about it earlier, but if Wembanyama plays the 65 games, he's probably just going to win Rookie of the Year based off hype. But if he
Yeah.
doesn't, it's really up in the air who
Right.
could win that.
Yeah, there's
I
a,
have Scoot. If
Could be
Wemby doesn't
Scoot,
play.
could be Chet, could be Jarris.
Asar Thompson. An underrated pick would be like an Anthony Black. I really like how he's going to play in that system.
I think he's
but-
going to be coming off the bench.
I don't know.
Kobe
He could play the
Buffkin.
3.
Franz plays the
Over
3.
Franz.
I guess he could shift everything down, have a small ball. Why would he come off the bench? They have like no guard depth. You're gonna
I
start
mean,
still have
Markel
Markel, I
over
feel
him.
like it. Yeah, Markel established himself. I feel
Markel
like
can be
as the
the
starter.
one, but
all right, Rick Carlisle. Let's slow down with the all guard lineups.
Anthony Black is a bigger player and he's one of like a better defender. Like I think he could very well start.
Yeah, he could definitely slot in at the 2, but
Let's
we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, there's few rookies that come in opening day as
It's
the
the
starters.
Magic.
I mean, the Magic are turning into a decent team.
Not
and they've
their
got a lot
guards.
of young guards.
Their guards are all doo doo except for Markel.
Jalen
yeah,
Suggs can defend, but
He can't defend to do other things.
his offense is
It's
a
like
little
saying,
suspect. but-
"Hey, Johnny Davis is the starting point guard next year because he has a year under his belt." Johnny Davis ain't even gonna be in the league in 10 years.
I don't know. They're pretty bad. He might be playing.
Him and Bilal Coulibaly being Shaq and Kobe in the G League.
yeah,
Shaq and Kobe in freaking China.
Jaden
worry,
Ivey
they-
got him his job.
they just need to play the Pistons, and Johnny Davis will have the game of his life. Look at that, November 27th, Wizards Pistons. Johnny
Oh,
Davis is gonna have a 30-point game.
We're going to that
Ugh.
game, right?
They'll probably get him all-star votes
Detroit's
just
only
for that one game.
How far
Yeah,
is
right.
Detroit?
You don't want to go to
Are we
Detroit.
closer? Are we closer to Milwaukee or Detroit?
No,
I think we're closer to
Yeah.
Milwaukee
it's
because
a toss up.
we're west.
It's a
You
toss
can
up.
only go to Detroit once.
You ain't coming back because your car is gonna be gone. All the wheels. You have to push.
We
You're gonna either walk home or
we shouldn't hate
Never
on
mind.
Detroit that much. They
Oh.
obviously have a reputation, but as do most cities,
that's
unfortunately.
true.
Probably stop being the
Memphis?
peacekeeper.
Like if we're gonna make fun of cities, we can't. You got Portland sitting right there. That's
Tucker will
What's wrong-
gladly
what's
make
wrong
fun of
with
Portland.
huh?
Portland, Tucker, you hate Portland.
Dude,
know,
I
man.
visited Portland and there was a dead lady on the street.
yeah.
It's a very nice city.
They need to. When I was flying home from Purdue, there was a lady on the first flight. So it was the flight going to Vegas. So I'm dying from whatever I had, and
AIDS.
she's apparently from Portland, and she's talking to the guy next to in the aisle seat because he's been to Portland a ton. And they were complaining about the city, and I was sitting there just like dying asleep and just like, oh yeah, you're right.
Oh my god. Did you guys see Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? They are so cute.
Whoa. That's football.
Yeah.
My
yeah,
homie was like, "Why is they talking so much about Taylor Swift? I'm just trying to watch the Chiefs play." He was
Wait,
so mad.
is Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelsey?
I don't know. Look
I
at
don't think so.
look at their Twitter header. ESPN, not ESPN, NFL.
Wow, that's kind of wild. I think if that was actually happening, I would have heard something about it by
yeah.
now.
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
I love the Sports Center and Bleacher Report posts where it was all the Swifty posts, and then they finally made one LeBron post, and everyone in the comments was like, "Praise the Lord."
Hey, I'm a Swifty as much as the next guy, but Travis Kelsey's really just putting all his like clout on her. Like she needs to be so happy.
What are you talking about?
She's
She
got to
put
love
him
the
on the map.
exposure.
No, he put her on the map. I don't even know who this Taylor Swift lady is. We're talking about the Kelsey brothers. They have one of the best podcasts out there. They're so funny. I recommend it.
That's my mom's been watching it.
Yeah,
Oh.
please watch that. Don't watch this.
It's a different topic. We can talk about. They're not competing. with us.
You can have the back-to-back double feature.
Now don't watch Through the Wire. We better.
Maybe
think
we'll
I'd
have a
rather watch
crossover
that.
one day.
I'm just kidding. Derek Mills is just awesome. I love that man. Mob ahead.
I really hope that they add Jimmy Butler's new
To
hairstyle
2K.
to 2K.
I'm putting that on my
Yeah.
my career player.
You know they won't. They didn't with it last year.
The dreads weren't in the
Man.
game.
Did they even use the picture of him?
Yes, they did.
They
For a
did
while.
in 2K,
ESPN
yeah.
did too.
Yes. That means they're gonna have to use this emo Jimmy picture all
Yeah, I
year.
think that's why he does it.
Yeah.
He said it's his Halloween.
I'm not gonna lie,
What
that
was it?
crap's
They used
hilarious.
They used his old 2K image like on national TV one time,
Yeah.
didn't they?
It's
Yeah.
just like his render in the game.
I'm not a huge fan of the Heat, but I really like Jimmy Butler for doing stuff like that.
I don't like watching him play against the Pacers, but he is very funny.
He's just funny. Same with like I don't like hate any player on the Heat. I just the Heatles and everything against the Pacers is just some kind of something about the organization. Now the Sixers, whole other thing. There's some players on there I can't really stand. But
You guys want to know a trade that kind of went under the radar?
Obi
I was
Toppin.
looking, but I was on my phone earlier and I saw a John Collins quote that said he was going to circle the game against the Hawks. And I was like, why would he circle that game? And then it hit me and I was like, oh my God, he got traded to the Jazz. Like I completely forgot he
Yeah.
was on that basketball
That-
team.
That's definitely been lost in all the other craziness that's happened.
He got traded
he,
on a random Tuesday. Like no
he
one
could-
cared.
he honestly could have a really good season on the
Yeah.
Jazz. I mean, look at Lowry Markkinen. You know,
Mhm.
I'm not saying John Collins is going to be an all-star, but
No, but he could definitely
like-
have a bounce back season.
right.
Return
Yeah,
to
I
what he
mean-
was doing before.
He definitely could.
Who is
So-
the 4 on the Hawks now?
I don't know.
Well, Laurie's running the 3. So John
No, on
Collins.
the Hawks.
Oh, the Hawks. Isn't it going to be what's his face? Sadiq Bey.
Sadiq Bey and DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah.
Mm.
I wanted
Yeah, I guess that could work.
DeAndre Hunter for Malcolm Brogdon.
Well, we wanted him too, but
It's all right.
Yeah.
You're gonna love Malcolm Brogdon's locker room presence, and he might play basketball a couple games too.
and he
Right.
might just take Malcolm out.
I'll really like him for the
And he's
minute.
gonna
Yeah.
drop 40.
Just wait till Malcolm mode comes on and he ISOs against their best defensive player and just drives to the rim for
Oh.
10 straight possessions in the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
cherish
Let's not
it.
get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, you're right.
For the finals.
So, starting to put a bow on this thing. I think we've kind of exhausted
Don't you mean ribbon?
all that we have to talk about, but you know, exciting stuff with all the trades. Preseason starts this week, so we may actually have some real basketball to talk about for our next podcast.
Let's go.
We still got
which
to
is
talk about the
exciting.
rookies.
And
Just 'cause
yeah,
I did some
so
research.
and yeah, next week we'll have all our research ready to talk about the rookies that we picked. So as well as, like I said, we may talk about some games, if anything else news-wise has gone on in the NBA. We'll have another podcast ready to go for you guys. So anybody else have any comments before I wrap this up?
Until the next time, my friends.
All
Goodbye.
right, well,
We didn't add any
y'all.
sound effects. I'm sorry.
be sure to join us next time. Thank you all for watching, all like one of you, and probably talking to myself.
There's at
but,
least 4.
you know,
here.
yeah,
Shout out to the Gentemans.
yeah,
Aw.
right. So,
All of them.
thank you all for listening. Be sure to comment who the most casual person was in this podcast today on our socials. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye-bye now.
Is that a sound effect, Peyton?
Yeah.
Sick.